In a deeply emotional display of national unity and frustration, tens of thousands of Israelis flooded the streets in one of the largest demonstrations since the Gaza conflict erupted nearly 2 years ago. Their goal? To demand that their government negotiate a deal to bring home 50 hostages still held captive in Gaza. This massive protest wasn't just about voicing anger. It was a call for action, driven by families who have endured unimaginable pain and uncertainty. But here's where it gets controversial. While the protests were framed as a grassroots movement, some political figures labeled them as politically motivated, sparking heated debate across the country. The day of protest began early, 6:29 a.m. to be exact, a deliberate choice symbolizing the moment Hamas launched its devastating attack on Israel on October 7th. Protesters blocked major highways, shut down private businesses, and gathered in large public squares in cities like Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa. Demonstrators even took their message directly to the doorsteps of government ministers' homes, ensuring their voices were impossible to ignore. Organizers estimated that hundreds of thousands of people participated nationwide, making this one of the most widespread strikes in recent Israeli history. At the heart of the protest were the families of the hostages themselves. Standing alongside the October Council, a group representing families who lost loved ones in the war, they delivered powerful speeches during a press conference in Tel Aviv. One mother, Anat Engrist, whose son Matan remains a hostage in Gaza, captured the sentiment of the day when she said, "Today, we stop everything to save the lives of 50 hostages and soldiers. Today, we stop everything to remember the supreme value of the sanctity of life." Her words resonated deeply with those present, highlighting the human cost of the ongoing crisis. Polls consistently show that a majority of Israelis support a ceasefire agreement that would secure the release of all hostages in exchange for ending the war. However, negotiations hit a roadblock in late July, when both the U.S. and Israel pulled out of talks in Doha, accusing Hamas of failing to engage in good faith. For many Israelis, this failure feels personal and unacceptable. Vicky Cohen, another parent of a hostage, voiced her frustration clearly. "We are united in one simple demand, directed at the Israeli government. Put an Israeli proposal on the table today for a comprehensive deal to end the war in exchange for the return of the last hostage. No slogans, no sabotage, no demands that we know the other side won't accept. It's time to end the horrific nightmare the entire country has been living in for 22 months. Her plea underscores the desperation felt by so many families caught in this prolonged tragedy. Adding fuel to the fire, the protests came just days after Israel's Security Cabinet announced plans to expand military operations into Gaza City, a move criticized by the Israeli military itself due to concerns that it could endanger the remaining hostages. Of the 50 hostages believed to still be alive, 20 are confirmed to be living. The government insists the operation is necessary and promises to relocate civilians for their protection, but skepticism abounds among protesters and critics alike. By mid-afternoon, Israeli police reported that 38 individuals had been arrested for disturbing the peace, while Israel's largest labor organization, the Histadrut, opted not to officially join the strike. It encouraged employers to allow workers to participate. Many companies, from tech startups to law firms and universities, stepped up to show solidarity, announcing they would either close for the day or reduce operations significantly. Even Israeli President Isaac Herzog joined the conversation, visiting the central gathering point in Tel Aviv known as Hostages Square. He expressed empathy for the families, saying, "All of the people of Israel are anxious, concerned, and want the hostages to come home. There is not a single Israeli woman or man who does not want them home." Yet, his words contrast sharply with those of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who condemned the protests during a cabinet meeting. Those who are calling today to end the war without defeating Hamas, he argued, not only harden Hamas's stance and delay the release of our hostages, they are also ensuring that the horrors of October 7th will repeat themselves again and again. Far-right Minister of National Security Itamar Ben-Gvir went further, dismissing the protests as a cynical political maneuver on the backs of the hostages and tying them to long-standing anti-government movements. But the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, which represents most of the hostages still in Gaza, fired back. You can continue to hide behind spins and political calculations, but you cannot escape responsibility. In response to the government's perceived inaction, the forum announced plans to establish a permanent protest encampment near the Gaza border, dubbing it Waypoint 50, a symbolic reference to the 50 hostages still unaccounted for. This bold step signals their determination to keep pressure on officials until every hostage is safely returned. So, what do you think? Should governments prioritize diplomacy over military solutions in situations like these? Or does taking a hardline approach ultimately serve the greater good? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.